All right. Death, The Sound of Perseverance. This is unfortunately the last Death album. It's not the last album that Chuck Schuldiner appeared on. He was in a slightly harder prog power group called Control Denied. We'll get to them at some point. And so I feel like The Sound of Perseverance, it's like a melodic tech death album, or rather the reciprocal of tech death Melodeath album, and it's massively complex. It's almost like with the guitarist Chuck Schuldiner and Shannon Hamm. There's so much intricacy with the guitar playing that it's almost like there's a tech death band, instrumental tech death band called Blotted Science. This is like the vocal version of that. It's like a massive exercise for just how skilled Schuldiner and Hamm were as a guitarist. The whole thing starts with a drum solo. Scavenger of Human Sorrow starts with a really nice drum solo and immediately goes into a little guitar break. There's some Yngwie moments. There's some almost like power metal notes on here. The Judas Priest cover, Painkiller. Interestingly enough, it was supposed to be a Japanese bonus track, and Chuck wanted it to be on all the albums. Judas Priest was one of his favorite bands, and there's just so much awesome stuff on here. Bite the Pain's really cool. Spirit Crusher. They were definitely Death was one of my 50 million favorite bands, and they were successful. Unfortunately, Chuck Schuldiner died, but there's a lot of awesome stuff to remember him by, and there's some thrashy elements, there's some neoclassical metal, some melodic death metal catchiness, but without like the gain heavy HM2 tone. There was A Moment of Clarity is an awesome instrumental song. It's a really, really cool. This is just a really, really cool album, and you should spend a lot of time with it. And there's some really nice guitar tones on here, if you're just listening for just the nuances and textures and stuff. The guitar tone's really great. The solos are awesome. Chuck Schuldiner's vocals they're basically pure black metal in a lot of instances. He has some power metal notes on Painkiller, but it's almost like power black metal, like 3 Inches of Blood, which is really cool. And so there's some black metal elements, some neoclassical metal touches, some flamenco, some thrash elements, and there's just so much going on. There's just so much going on here that you can go over as a listener, and you can enjoy it. And you can keep coming back to this album because you're not going to hear everything. And I can keep going over this, and I'll just come to the same result that this is a fantastic tech death, melodeath album, and some other stuff too, like black metal and stuff. But I came back to this recently. I've been listening to other stuff, and I loved every second of it. It's Chuck Schuldiner was an amazing vocalist and guitarist, and I highly recommend you get a copy of this, listen to it, Death is back in the form of DTA, Death to All, and so hopefully I'll get a chance to see him at some point. And thank you, and please pick up a copy of this and listen to it, like it, love it, and have a good night.